Hi and welcome to Indigo Starfire. My name is Bevin, and in this video I'm going to be looking into the question, what do your ancestors think about this connection? There are 3 groups to choose from. Group 1 is the Poppy Jasper star, along with this card which says Inner Peace. Group 2 is the Aventurine star, along with this card which says Transformation. And group 3 is the Sodalite star, along with this card which says Love. So if you want to take a moment to center, focus on your breathing, and fill whichever group, maybe multiple groups or perhaps all of the groups that you're most drawn to. I'll give you a minute to make your selection and then we'll get right into it. And there are timestamps in the description box of the video for each group if you would like to jump ahead. And up next is a close-up photo of the cards and the crystals to help you better make your selection. Hi, Group 1. You chose the Poppy Jasper star, along with this card which says Inner Peace. So to channel some introductory energies from this as far as that question, what do your ancestors think about this person, think about this connection, do they approve? There's a sense of ability for you in this situation, perhaps through some difficulties that you're currently facing or difficulties that may surface in the future, to grow and expand and even touch upon some trigger points which are doorways to profound emotional healing for you via this connection. It's almost like these are the energies available should you choose to use them to your greatest good and advantage. And it ties in with a lot of personal growth that is available through this connection. It's also bringing forth the idea of growing pains through this circumstance. There's an energy here, though, of your ancestors really indicating that in addition to personal growth that is available through this situation, that there is also a distinct possibility that you and this individual, even if you have kind of grown apart from one another or you're facing some kind of difficulty or strife currently, that there is the ability to kind of mature and develop on your own in order to sort of level out the playing field in this situation. That's possible, and also that is necessary. So it may be something where your ancestors at this particular point in time are saying that there's potential in this connection. However, it's going to require evolution for both individuals, emotionally speaking, before you're able to really see and experience the full potential, to reach that place of inner peace. Almost like that's an inside job first. It feels like definitely your ancestors are kind of pointing to the energy of it's no mistake that you've encountered this individual, whatever the nature of the connection is at this point in time, whether this is, you know, kind of a stormy period that you're going through, if you're in separation from one another, maybe you have just moved back toward one another in the attempt to kind of make peace, make harmony out of the situation. You know, your ancestors are encouraging you to open your mind or your perspective as far as what you may have construed to be a very linear pathway with this person, or very strict definitions about the nature of this circumstance. It almost brings forth the energy of a little bit of tough love. Like your ancestors are saying, this connection will be good for you. This will be good for your personal growth in terms of sort of the energy of nothing good comes easy. That this is something that it's really going to challenge you to go deeper within yourself, maybe do a lot of shadow work, you know, address some wounds, some triggering, maybe even balance out some of those kind of family lines of karma that you have inherited. So in that sense, it feels like your ancestors are very supportive of this connection, but not for necessarily the more surface level aspects that you may just automatically sort of jump to the conclusion of would fit in the realm of who your ancestors would want you to be with. But again, it's something where, you know, everybody has their own free will. And so your ancestors are indicating that it's possible to come to a place, almost like a meeting of the minds with this individual, where more of a full expression and possibility of what's available to the both of you in terms of love can be experienced, but it requires almost like solo journeying, paths that diverge in order to move back toward one another further down the road. So I'm going to get some more oracle cards. I'm just going to be using oracle cards for this reading. So I've got a couple decks that I've selected, and then I'll close it out with some more concrete words of guidance about this connection from your ancestors. So what else do they want you to know about this connection? Is there kind of their feedback, their impression of this connection? Do they approve of this person? So we've got wind, activation, lotus flower, unfoldment, and green man, synergy. So there's definitely an energy here with the heart space, with kind of this lush overgrowth here in the green man. This can talk about kind of some resistance to stepping into a fuller embodiment of love of self that may be sort of part of the nature and the definition of like the soul contract with you and this individual, almost like triggering or activating one another through needs not being met, you know, maybe even kind of some sort of education here as far as raising your standards, setting that example to others about the love that you're seeking by first becoming that in and of yourself. And it's something to where it's almost a lot of emotional work that has not been done up to this point in time, or that you were unaware needed to be done, is available to you through this connection. That peace is possible in this circumstance, but it begins with that inner peace inside first and foremost. You know, the idea of the lotus flower and the unfoldment is kind of like through the difficulties that you are facing in this connection currently, or that you may potentially encounter in the future if this is a relatively new connection. You know, not everything is sunshine and rainbows. There are always points in any relationship, even the best relationship, where, you know, the shadows of both individuals sort of come up to the light, come up to the surface. That's the make or break moment. You know, are we going to endure and push through this, or is it something where we then choose to go our separate ways? And so your ancestors are really indicating that it's through the challenges in this situation that they approve of this as almost like a training arena for you, that this connection is really, it's pivotal, it's educational for you to maybe not seek so much for approval or love or validation externally, but it's really a means to sort of direct that focus inward, to shift your perspective of kind of, you know, the nature of partnerships. Maybe this is even like an expansion in terms of your definition of love, moving more closely in line with that kind of concept of unconditional love, that again, through sort of the difficulties you may face with this person currently, or in the future, that this is it's an evolutionary process here, not just in terms of what's possible in the connection with the both of you, but individually first and foremost. And so with that being said, you know, there is a lot of support in this. These are energies here that are encouraging you to sort of press through the pain, press through the discomfort, press through the illusion of kind of a linear expectation of how you think this connection should unfold, or sort of like what love should look like. You know, expand your mind kind of beyond the purpose for you and this individual encountering one another in this lifetime, and really see this almost as kind of a gift or an opportunity for, if nothing else, you to learn to love yourself more fiercely and furiously than you have up to this point in time. And a lot of that may involve confronting, you know, some kind of deeply buried wounds inside, sort of looking within as a result of almost like a clash of personalities at a certain point in time, or like a necessity to move away from one another in this circumstance in order to be able to see, what is this person mirroring to me inside myself that has been overlooked, is unaddressed, that I need to kind of like prune away, kind of clear away, in order to be able to access more intimately that truth of the heart space. You know, what I'm really looking for in a partnership. Do these qualities, you know, exist? Are these mirrored within myself, or am I setting kind of like unrealistic expectations and not necessarily delivering something that is comparable in sort of presentation or energy? And so again, this kind of concept of tough love here, where it's almost, you know, there's, your ancestors are really approving of this connection, but not for the reasons on the surface that you might think. But it's not just kind of like, oh, here, go and experience this very difficult situation and you'll be better on the other side of it. You know, with these two fish here in the inner peace, it really is an indication that, you know, it's possible through dedication, through diligence, through trust, and kind of the path that may unfold with you and this person that you're currently walking down. You know, trusting in sort of the necessity of separation for a period of time in order to be able to do that internal work, to become that love you are seeking. You know, first and foremost, definitely could be a lot of heart chakra activations in this connection with this person. And just as kind of confronted and terrified as you feel, they are feeling equally confronted and terrified. And everybody has free will. Everybody has the ability to kind of run from their shadow, run from their reflection, or to really confront that and seek to, you know, embrace even the most uncomfortable parts and aspects of what we are being shown. And your ancestors are really leaning into, you know, emphasize here that on the other side of a necessary period of kind of going separate ways to do this very individualistic healing work, that this connection actually falls in line more deeply with a fulfilling and reciprocal and healthy love on the other side of two people becoming motivated to heal themselves first and foremost. So in that sense, it's like growth is possible regardless of the outcome. It's possible on a personal level, and then if both of you choose kind of further down the road, it's possible to grow into and experience a different kind of love. Two people who are equally committed to that path of inner peace within themselves, and by cultivating that individually, have the true capability to exchange and to receive that from one another in a healthy and high vibrational manner. So your ancestors are really applauding this connection if you're willing to do the work, if you're willing to sort of expand your mind beyond the perception of sort of difficulties or obstacles. And, you know, if you have kind of the endurance and the trust in the process, not I'm doing the work within myself in order to get this person back, but I'm doing the work within myself in order to become more in alignment with that love that I am seeking. That is the key to sort of opening the door to something more, almost like the true possibilities and potentials of what can be experienced with this person. So let's see what else your ancestors want to say about this connection. Okay, so we've got the arts, father, and farm. So this father card can resonate as a passed on father figure or father who is coming through in this reading. You know, it's also tying into kind of wounded aspects of the masculine energy, that we all hold masculine and feminine polarities within each of us, and we sort of sit more predominantly in these energies at different points of our life and different circumstances. This aspect of our, you know, the masculine or feminine polarity of ourselves are often triggered based on different people that we are interacting with and kind of where they're sitting. Often, you know, kind of wounds are chameleoned around one another in order to sort of react or, you know, or respond if you're kind of on the path of being a little more self-aware about these things. And so there's a big energy here as far as kind of one of the major things that may be needing to be healed, or that is available, that is kind of, it's that key to unlocking the door to so much more. Could be a father wound, kind of even just like a fear of diving into sort of the receptive polarities. It may be an energy of almost overgiving love, and needing to work on kind of an aspect of being willing to receive or being able to meet someone where they are. And this doesn't mean settling for breadcrumbs, but really kind of, checking in and evaluating within self, sort of like, is this filling my emotional needs, or am I simply making do in order to, kind of give my power away to a situation, to, give someone overly the benefit of the doubt? How have my standards been sort of lowered in order to placate or to accommodate, a dream or a vision, to keep the peace, to keep the harmony in the situation? So maybe some aspects as far as people pleasing or codependency is concerned, but it's almost the energy of, by addressing these things, addressing these kind of areas of discomfort, the parts of ourselves that it's very hard to look at often. It's easier to kind of like point that finger, point that mirror outward and deflect blame. It's a profound act of courage to be able to turn that lens within self and to say, if I am experiencing that, where is the similarity that exists within me that is kind of a resonance for these frequencies? And that is really the ground level from which profound personal transformation is possible. So again, it's your ancestors are indicating here that this is a connection that they approve of, specifically because it leads to a level of discomfort, specifically the discomfort of having to look at oneself. If you are experiencing one aspect of dissonance, what within you is a harmonic resonance to that? What within you is maybe responding to that, stemming from your childhood and your upbringing, generational healing that is possible for the family line in addition to yourself through how you are dealing with this circumstance. And if this other person, this other fish here chooses to kind of go along that path within themselves, then it's possible for something very organically to develop. But even with this energy of, the farm and kind of these two horses sort of off doing their own thing, that there's a necessity of separation. There's separate journeys here that kind of render you into a state of sameness, but it is not something that at face value, it's almost like you and this person have encountered one another as sort of a rough draft, a rough version of who you can be, what is available to you through sort of the nature of this dynamic. And so your ancestors are approving of this in order for you to, with this guitar here on the art card, to be able to create that harmonic resonance within, to be able to look within and say, am I sitting too much in wounded masculine energy or wounded feminine energy? Making friends with your shadow, learning these kind of intricate nooks and crannies of who you are. And from that lens, being able to sort of, see, and this doesn't mean excuse, it just means to understand maybe where someone else is coming from as far as, their lack of ability to meet you at the level that you need them to, and allowing other people kind of the organic time and space to work through their aspects and issues, work with spirit, work with their ancestors. And it's kind of the energy of your ancestors are encouraging you to sort of move forward through the healing process for you first and foremost. And you might be surprised at sort of what you find on the other side, that lo and behold, further down the road, here's this person later on, and they've been rendered into, a more kind of complete or self-aware version of them. Healing is a process. It's a spiral. It's never complete. It's really the choice to kind of avoid or to kind of begin this perpetual endeavor to heal and just kind of readdress things from different lenses over and over during the course of our lifetimes. And so it feels to be something where your ancestors are indicating that this is a highly activating connection here, that it's something, even if there's distance or separation between you and this individual, at periods of time, maybe currently or in the future, you have this like frequency, the two horses and the two fish, and all this kind of heart-centered energy here. Definitely for a lot of you, you've triggered or activated a heart center awakening or activation, vice versa. This can be where there's a lot of kind of an energetic comparing of notes, a lot of telepathy back and forth, that it may seem like your roads have diverged and you're sort of walking these solo paths, but really there's like a conjoined energy here. There's a bigger purpose, which you're being invited to kind of expand your mind into as to why you've crossed paths with this person, rather than just seeing them as kind of like a baneful element of your life, or kind of leaning into more of sort of the victim mentality about the circumstances, or frustration about not being able to necessarily deduce deduce or kind of figure out, you know, why is there such a strong connection, and there's all these difficulties here, there's all these obstacles, why have I been shown this possibility, only to then be presented with all of these challenges that stand in the way of the continuity of that. You know, your ancestors are indicating that this is the ability to kind of come back home to self, get back to your roots, really seek to kind of manicure something within the heart space, that it is precisely through the struggles with this individual that you are in the direct alignment with the ability to kind of have your greatest season of personal growth. And it is that willingness to almost release control of the situation and to really, you know, accept kind of and be grateful for the blessing of even the most difficult circumstances with this individual, that you open up to that greater possibility of coming into alignment with them, but most importantly, coming into alignment with yourself, you know, first and foremost, and then further down the path. You sort of change the tempo of the situation and circumstance. So let's see what else your ancestors want you to know about this situation, about this person's connection. Do they approve? What are their thoughts about it? What do you need to know? Okay, so we've got the Gentleman, Birch-Rod, and Anchor. So there's that masculine polarity energy again, and it's sitting here, you know, on top of this guitar, on top of the arts. It's almost like you're the greatest work of art you will ever work on, and it is precisely through, you know, kind of the aspects of self that, you know, the typical sort of unawakened masculine energy doesn't really sit in its heart space. It's more action oriented versus kind of like feeling center. And so really this connection affords you the opportunity to sort of tune into your own dormant or kind of sleep mode inner masculine, and to really bring some kind of context and balance to that, which will help to kind of send out a different signal of resonance to the inner masculine within this other person that you are dealing with. And it's an energy here as well with this birch rod kind of, you know, again, a reinforcement of the difficulties in this situation, kind of the aspects where you may sort of wonder, you may sort of shake your fist at the sky and say, am I being punished here? What did I do wrong? Why did I feel such an intense connection with this individual only to have things go south? That it is through these struggles that you almost move into this place of kind of anchoring in your highest timeline. That is what's available to you through this connection. It's also an energy of really freeing yourself from the limitations and the blocks within you that stand in the way or have fettered you up to this point in time from giving and receiving a higher vibration of love with other individuals, whether it is this person further down the road or somebody else further down the road. All of these energies point to your ancestors. Very tough love energy here of they approve of this connection. Not that they want to see you suffer or in pain or sad or frustrated or you know, hurt or lonely, but it's the energy of kind of like something needing to be cracked open almost, and pushing you onto a path of your greatest discomfort in a way that you might not willingly go down. Most people don't say, okay, I'm gonna go dive into my shadow. I'm gonna go kind of reach into all this embedded pain that I'm holding and seek to grow from that. I mean, eventually, further along the healing journey, you know, as you kind of overcome certain things and you find that strength within and you incorporate that into kind of the full polarity of who you are, then there can be more willingness to kind of go into the personal underworld, seeing that kind of on the other side of the things we are most afraid to look at or that are most uncomfortable is often that's where our greatest strength and our greatest triumph is done. You know, it gets to the point where you need less kind of, you know, being pushed off the high dive into the swimming pool, or you know, that coaxing, that those kind of power moments, it becomes a little more fluid for a lot of people, where there's an understanding that, there's a season to kind of build and to experience harvest, but then there's a necessity to kind of clear things away. And so it becomes like a seamless transaction almost with the seasons of life, or with the individual, with one's own energy. This feels to be something where your ancestors approve of this connection in the sense that it shows you some kind of greater cycles that are at play, and it's a connection which in its own way is going to help you to release limitations you have placed around your heart, maybe things that you brought over from a past life, or wounding from childhood upbringing, kind of distortions that may have been templated within you through what love and partnership should look like, based on kind of family trends. You're a link in a chain, and you can be that chain breaker. So in that sense, your ancestors are strongly in support of this connection. To almost kind of like push you in the direction of it, so that you will reach within and find that strength to almost will your way through this difficulty, come what may, regardless of if it works out with this person further down the road, or if it, just most importantly kind of works out for yourself, your relationship with you. That's kind of the crucial element here. That's the gift in this situation, to where, this doesn't mean that your ancestors are wanting you to just sort of put up with endless kind of misery from this individual, or, just sit and stew in heartbreak. But it's almost a sense of kind of like personal empowerment, where maybe you've been limiting your light. You've been kind of giving too much of that power away. You've been anchoring yourself into one particular timeline, and you're being encouraged to kind of expand your definition of this connection, expand kind of your understanding of the personal growth process and the journey that you find yourself on. To where, it's almost something that this is a doorway that can lead to your greatest ability to experience and to understand the nature of higher vibrational love. And it is quite possible, that this person will also sort of take those cues that their ancestors, their spirit guides and angels, the universe, will be working with them in the same but different way in which, your team is working with you to kind of show these things, reinforce these lessons. So this isn't like a 100% circumstance. Oh, this is just meant to be difficult, and it's your path to personal growth and development. That's the prize out of this circumstance and situation. It's quite possible for a lot of people that this is something where the challenges that you face will actually strengthen your relationship with self, which allows you to build a stronger partnership with this person further down the road. Regardless of the outcome, your ancestors are saying that this is a good connection for you. This is something that, you need to kind of free yourself of something, and to also step into more of the fullness of vibration of harmony within, to kind of fine tune what it is you're looking for in love, to kind of fine tune your assessment of the qualities and the frequencies and the nature of what you hold within that is a match for these things that you're seeking, or that is in fact kind of a contradiction to those things and might be therefore what is magnetizing in, disappointments or kind of an energy of lack. So it's a growth experience here, that your ancestors are encouraging you to sort of expand your mind in terms of how you are defining this, what the value you are placing upon it. This might even tie into some forgiveness work, with this person, in terms of just stepping into a place of gratitude. This doesn't mean necessarily welcoming them back into your life readily before they've, shown measurable change. For some of you, this is kind of, you're watching this for a past person, and this reading is just really going to help you sort of put things into context and help you to free yourself, to pull up anchor and sort of move forward in your own emotional journey, as you're understanding that like your ancestors are really looking at this as not something that's meant to kind of like weigh you down or hold you in place, but it's something that's almost meant to be that push or that motivation for you to kind of become more loving, not kind of let this person get the last laugh, or the upper hand in the situation where you just kind of limit and close yourself off. You dim your light and you just sort of tuck into your own heart. But it's almost kind of like this encouragement to burst forth, to birth forth a version of yourself, a more loving and self-aware version, because of and in spite of these circumstances. So I'm going to get some closing guidance from your ancestors about this connection, and then I'll pull some initials. Okay, we have sweet surrender. Let go, let go, let go, and lighten your load. Then sail freely through the open door to inner peace. Love this because we've got the inner peace card here, and this is available for you on the other side of kind of your willingness to let go of a linear sort of definition or expectation of the way you've been conceptualizing this connection up to this point in time. Also with the idea of like setting sail, and we've got the anchor here, you know, things that have been weighing you down, blocks within yourself, contradictions within self that you may have been setting the intention to call in one thing and you're achieving very different results. This circumstance with this person, it almost feels to be, for a lot of you, there's, you know, kind of, you may have gone back and forth with that idea of like, let go, let go, let go. A lot of hot and cold energy, a lot of cycles you've been going around. And so it's not just releasing yourself from kind of the cyclical energy, but it's almost like you're breaking the chains for generations previous. A lot of this may have been kind of like learned behavior, where it's just kind of imprinted with this elephant here, kind of one generation after another, or in some way, the experiences with this person, it's inviting you to look more deeply within yourself and to see, you know, how are my definitions of what love should feel like? How are these a reflection of just wounded, unaddressed aspects within me crying out and kind of sending that signal of hurt and then receiving in those resonant frequencies versus my ideas of love and partnership and what that dynamic should look like, how much of that is coming from like a healed and a balanced and restored place. And so it feels to be something where it helps to kind of evolve you beyond limited or linear thinking to more deeply sort of, you know, address those kind of uncomfortable things. It's the idea of like little things within that you might have overlooked, subtleties, nuances, you know, shifts within yourself in order to be able to kind of change the circumstances you are experiencing romantically. That this connection is very much approved of by the ancestors as, you know, the prime tool for you to really, you know, maybe be so disappointed that you're going deeper within yourself, the motivation to, you know, try and kind of figure this out, maybe feel very tied to this person energetically, that this is all kind of fuel to sort of push you very deeply within, where you're able to kind of, unchain yourself from limitations within self, and you're also able to kind of find this personal strength, this unstoppable force within you that then rises out of the ashes of this circumstance, or expands the mind so much that you're able to kind of hold even the difficulties of this situation in a space of gratitude, which then opens up wider horizons for you in terms of what's potentially possible with this person in the future, and also what's possible for you in other romantic connections. But most importantly, it's the relationship with self that really stands to benefit through this circumstance. So that is why it comes in sort of a roundabout way. It's a highly recommended connection by the ancestors. But, you know, back to this idea of inner peace, they want to emphasize that you are not just meant to kind of continue to suffer in this circumstance if there is suffering going on, that this is a task for you to free yourself from this, to seek out that inner peace, you know, really be able to kind of identify that guiding light within, the North Star that you hold within you, and follow that, even if it means in a direction away from this person, disconnecting from the idea of this person. That is the personal growth. It's stepping beyond that boundary, moving beyond the comfort zone, and that this is something where, you know, it helps your soul evolution. It helps you to come more into that alignment with the type of love you're seeking, because you have cultivated that more deeply within yourself first and foremost. So I'm going to get some initials. This can be a first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or perhaps some of your ancestors, or it could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Okay, we've got F, G, U, X, R, L, D, I, S, U, O, A, H, Z, V, and P. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and there's a link in the description box of the video for that. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I also sell handmade jewelry, dream catchers, and sun catchers if you're interested in checking any of those out as well. And I've launched a second channel here on YouTube, which is called Lady of the Dawn Tarot. There's a link in the description box as well as in the channel section of my page for that. The format over there consists of readings related to topics other than love and romance. So if you're looking for something a little different from me, that is the place to find it. And I thank you for your support there as well as for your continued support here on this channel. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, Group 2. You chose the Aventurine star, along with this card, which says transformation. So just to channel some quick introductory energies off of this card as far as that question, what do your ancestors think of this person? Do they approve of this connection? There's definitely an energy here of your ancestors as a whole, as a collective, are very divided about this situation. There are some who are really in favor of this, who are kind of seeing the potential, seeing the growth opportunities here for the two of you. You know, maybe this is like a relatively new connection, and you're still sort of working out that process of getting to know one another. And so there are ancestors of yours who are really cheering this process on. They feel good about this. They see good things in the future for you. There are other ancestors, though, who are they're a little more on the fence about this person. There's an aspect of you that has surfaced through this connection that your ancestors don't see as your most empowered stance. And this isn't, you know, with the energy of the butterfly and transformation, this isn't kind of like set in stone, that this is just the role you're playing in this situation and that's unchangeable. And so then you've got ancestors who don't like this, but they're almost kind of like keeping an eye on this. You may be starting to get some signs or a little bit of movement from your ancestral team that is letting you know something needs to shift, almost kind of like distractions or other sort of things happening in your life outside of the connection that have pulled your energy away, have kind of pivoted your attention elsewhere because you were in a way sort of like feeding too much into this situation and not giving this other person the opportunity to sort of rise to the occasion. You were doing all the heavy lifting. You were overgiving. You were kind of feeding all sorts of energies into this, you know, sending those thoughts and the vibrations their way. If it's somebody you're in no contact with, it feels like it's an even greater proportion of ancestors who are not necessarily liking this connection in its current manifestation, because again, it feels very almost one-sided, where there's one person that may be like watching a lot of tarot readings, you know, seeking that advice. They're constantly sort of like thinking, and it's the idea of, you know, energy flows where attention goes. And so it feels like your ancestors are feeling you've got too much attention on this, and it's leaking energy. It's giving your power away. It's something that they're feeling. It's that way of relating to this, not that it's, you know, anything wrong with that person necessarily. It's something within you that is kind of, they don't like this face of you and how it's showing up in this situation, where again, kind of these things that may sort of distract you, little inconveniences that kind of interfere with what has become a pattern or a routine of just feeding so much energy into this situation, into this person, to where it might even be something, you know, for some of you where this individual is meant to kind of rise to the occasion and move back towards you. You're in too much of the chaser energy, and your ancestors are not liking that this situation triggers this within you and almost they're not liking that you're not taking the cues, or you're not releasing this approach up at this point in time and moving not necessarily even into a runner position, but just into a place of surrender, to give this person the opportunity to kind of truly feel your absence, to truly sort of split their energy from yours, and to really be able to make an educated decision, you know, about kind of the value that you hold. It's almost like you're too close to this person energetically, or even just literally you're too enmeshed at this particular point in time. And again, there are ancestors that think this is very beautiful. You know, they're seeing further down the road. They're kind of looking at, they're seeing the forest. They're not looking at the trees. But then there is a group of ancestors that they're looking at every tree, and they're saying, okay, this is kind of going on long enough. You're disempowering yourself, or there's other kind of things that you're maybe neglecting in your life. You know, even just self-care, or turning some of that beautiful and loving energy into yourself to nourish yourself and feed yourself, that it's almost kind of just like tunnel vision in a way to this connection. Maybe it's even just, again, that excitement about something new, something that's getting, you know, that's developing, a deep and intense like soul connection you have with somebody. But it's almost an urge to sort of like step back. Your ancestors want you to step back from this situation, allow this person to feed more into you. And it feels like for those ancestors that they're very protective, the ones that are kind of, they've got the eagle eye on this situation, that it's kind of like they're keeping this person at bay in tandem with your sort of feeding of the energies, is keeping this person at a distance. But when you sort of reclaim that power into yourself, when you redirect some of that focus and energy onto yourself, and kind of your own world, your own needs, you don't just get lost in the connection. This is something where those ancestors, those kind of very protective or like guardian spirits almost, will allow this person to advance, but to not bombard this situation. This can tie in as well with almost some kind of a bigger goal or a plan that your ancestors are kind of wanting to work with you about, as far as, you know, stepping into a place of honoring and loving yourself, making sure you're filling your own cup in the same way that you're filling the cups of others. If you're an overgiver, if you're a fixer, you're wanting to kind of, you know, help and heal, you're an empath, you're taking on other people's dissonance and trying to give them harmony in exchange. That this is almost something where, you know, that kind of segment of your ancestors who are not necessarily big fans of how, at this particular point in time, this kind of crossroads period here, that this connection is at. They're not fans of that, because in some way it's a distraction from other work you're needing to do within. It's almost like you're falling back into old patterns or old habits that you may have done a lot of work to sort of transcend and overcome, but then it's almost like growth has stopped. You're sort of half in and half out of this process of breaking through some sort of major cycle within yourself, you know, maybe even freeing things up generationally speaking. And so there's an eye on this connection, as far as like, this better not become a hindrance, because there's other work that you need to do. This could go one of two ways. It can either be something where you sort of, you make that slight shift, direct some of that energy back into self, and then it feels like, you know, most of the ancestors will be very, very pleased with that progression, where you're balancing that out. You're not giving all that power away. You're keeping some in reserves for you. Or it's something where if you continue to kind of, it's almost this idea of like you're draining and depleting. You know, you're stretching yourself very thin. That's how you're showing up in this connection, and it's something that it's an aspect of you that is kind of, it's almost like your ancestors are saying you could do better than that. You know, you owe it to yourself to kind of change this aspect of you, you know, to really value yourself, to respect yourself and your time and your energy. You know, even if it's something where you're giving this person space outwardly, it's almost this internal reality. Again, like energy flows where attention goes, and it feels like there's a little too much fixation at this point in time, where you almost may need that kind of breathing space in order to gain some perspective, and to give this person the opportunity to really step up to the plate and sort of prove themselves, to reciprocate. It's like you're over giving, and they don't have that opportunity to kind of give in return, because you keep feeding it all in there. And so it's that quality and aspect that it feels like some of your ancestors are just, they're not sold on this connection yet. if things change, that opinion will change. If nothing changes, nothing changes, and it feels like they'll start to kind of set up some blockades around you, energetically speaking, in terms of like forcibly sort of diverting your energy elsewhere, a little bit of sort of like ancestor mischief, just to kind of redirect your focus off of where you're feeding all of your power into. So I'm just going to be using oracle cards for this reading, and so I'm going to get some more, get deeper into this and see kind of what else do your ancestors think about this connection and this person. Okay, so we've got stone people, vigilance, clouds, shape-shifting, and winter solstice, reflection. So this definitely reinforces the idea of some better boundaries are needed. For some of you, this almost with the idea of like clouds and shape-shifting, that some of those ancestors that are not necessarily approving of the connection, or they've got a very watchful eye on it, they're sensing where the person that you're dealing with is almost kind of, you give an inch and they're taking a mile. For some people, it's going to come from sort of, you've given them the key, you've given them the access to this energy, and so they're just, if you don't say anything, if you don't set up these boundaries, they're just going to, you know, they're going to enjoy the fullness of that as much as they can. Like there's no motivation to change, and that feels to be a quality and aspect that certain ancestors are not liking about this person, or just the power structure here, the dynamic, like a lack of clear established boundaries and barriers, or it's almost just a wobbly energy where, you know, maybe the time you've gotten to know one another, you know, your intimacy has increased with one another, and yet you're still operating out of that same structure. You've not had those deep, you know, heart-to-heart conversations, or even things of a very practical manner that would maybe, you know, check in with one another. Like, how are you feeling? What are your intentions from this point forward? You know, are we still on the same page with one another? It's a lot of just assumptions with this connection, it feels like. And that's if you're dealing with someone still currently. If it's a no contact situation, again, it's like a lot of energy is being fed into this circumstance, that it's almost kind of, you're running on fumes in a certain way, whether you recognize this or not, energetically speaking. You leave very little in reserve for yourself, and it is this aspect that kind of has some of these ancestors saying, this needs to kind of stop. This needs to kind of be put on pause. You need to kind of put the brakes on in this situation for your own well-being, you know, and to give this situation a chance to kind of go through a period where, you know, you're taking your eye off of it. You're shifting how you're showing up in the situation, and that opens the door for this individual to kind of show you what they've got, show you what they intend, show you what they're capable of, or what they're willing to kind of give to the situation. That it's almost just, you may have really fallen into some aspect of your shadow nature, again, kind of like shadow empath, where you're overgiving to the point of exhaustion or burnout, or, you know, because that's kind of what you've been accustomed to sort of doing, or just kind of the way you respond energetically to people, you know, and in a very even well-meaning way. You know, you have feelings for someone, you care about someone, you're interested in someone, so you're going to feed them your time and attention. You're having a really good experience with someone for a lot of you, but it's almost like the brakes need to be put on, and the ancestors don't. It feels like with both of these kind of cards of stillness here, winter solstice and the stone people, it's kind of like they're looking at both you and this person like you're both not putting the brakes on where you should. There's sort of like equal responsibility here. It's not like they're looking at this person as kind of villainous in any way, but it's just sort of like they may have things that they need to work on as well, as far as, you know, maybe this connection tasks them with opening up and giving more openly, or kind of learning lessons of reciprocity, you know, rather than just kind of being on the receiving end for things, vice versa for you as well. But it's almost just like two people that are kind of looping back into their sort of like shadow selves in this situation. And it's the ancestors really saying that, like, both you and this person are better than that. You're, you know, this connection should be more than what it is. It's kind of lopsided at this particular point in time. And so there's a need to kind of just have some sort of energetic breathing room in order to be able to come back together with sort of more perspective. So it almost feels like something where if you're talking to this person daily, your ancestors are kind of saying, you know, maybe don't make that as frequent. Maybe you're setting some more time aside for just you. There may be almost kind of a fear of missing out or a fear of losing this situation if you're currently dealing with this person that has you just over-giving, over-fixated, overly focused, always available. You know, this may be something that is kind of stemmed and triggered from times in the past where, you know, maybe even partners you were dealing with were accusing you of not being available and attentive to their needs. And so you've taken on this projection, and it's become a shadow. It's become a distortion within you that you may not be very aware of, that it's playing out in this way and in this context, because it feels to be something that's coming from a very well-meaning place. For some of you, though, this could be bordering on like fixation and obsession with this connection and kind of the outcome, rather than just moving into a space of allowing and enjoying kind of where it is in the present moment, this in-between state, that it's almost you're giving your power away and you're sort of thwarting, in a sense, what can develop and wants to develop in the future by almost putting so much of this projective energy. And so it's something where, you know, the ancestors who are kind of like, they have their eye on this, they also really have their eye on you, this quality within you, and kind of all the work you've done on your personal path, or something that you're almost not recognizing or seeing within yourself that would compel you, even from a very well-meaning place, to sort of approach matters of the heart in this way. And so, you know, even though it's kind of, there's a little bit of scolding as far as that's concerned, or just, it's the visual of like people standing there like with their arms sort of folded, you know, and just kind of watching something, that it's your ancestors, a good portion of them are not necessarily fully embracing this situation, because they're waiting for a different part of you to bloom as a result of the frequency you've encountered with this person, as a result of kind of approaches you may have had in love up to this point, and the results that they gave, that or that they yielded, that you're invited to change something within yourself in order to change kind of what you're experiencing in return. It's almost like you're following down the same path that you have before, that has led to kind of dead ends and roadblocks for you, and your ancestors are kind of, it's almost the energy of like, not again, like, you know, let's change this up, or haven't you gone through the same cycle, the same kind of experience over and over again, you know, in order to kind of experience different from other people, we have to teach other people differently. We have to teach them other ways of how to treat us. And so, you know, it's almost as it's playing out right now in this context, some of them are kind of, they're seeing this as a hurdle, and they feel like the ancestors that are very approving of this situation, they have confidence that you'll work it out, that you'll learn kind of the lesson, that you'll get it and sort of shift and change your approach. And in something that's very subtle, maybe just segmenting out more time for you, directing a lot of that attention and focus back onto yourself, nurturing yourself in the same way you're trying to nurture, you know, the possibility of reconciliation, or nurture kind of these newer seeds of potential to grow and thrive. There's a segment of your ancestors that know you'll get it. You'll get the clue, you'll get the hint, maybe even through this reading. And it's a simple kind of turn of the attention changes everything in this situation. But there are other ancestors who are kind of on the fence about that, who are like, well, I'll believe it when I see it, and until then, I don't like how this is playing out right now. This is kind of, it's limiting or stifling in some way other things that you're meant to accomplish in terms of this particular soul path. It's almost like they're looking at this situation like, if this goes on much longer, in the sense, it's going to become a distraction, it's going to become a hindrance. And that's where sort of this energy of like the ancestor mischief comes in, to forcibly kind of redirect your focus off of this person, you know, off of this situation, and kind of getting to other work and other experiences you're meant to accomplish in this lifetime. So let's see what else your ancestors want you to know about this person, about this situation. Okay, so we have mother, karmic relationship, and high priest or priestess. So definitely with this high priest or priestess, there is an encouragement here to sort of take that power back, that almost silence, there's power in silence, that you're, you know, even if you're not oversharing outwardly, you're giving too much of your energy away. You're giving too much obvious points of direction as far as, you know, you're invested in the situation. It's almost like it serves the longer term possibilities of this situation to leave a little bit to mystery, to leave a little bit to the imagination, to sort of encourage or trigger in a positive way qualities of empowerment within this person to kind of fight for this connection in ways that you may be kind of coddling or almost babying this situation. Maybe not literally, but it's just, you know, you're constantly available to this situation, and even just energetically speaking. Even if you're not, you know, the second this person texts or calls, you're answering it, but it's something in the internal energy. It's where your focus is. It's not just kind of fleeting thoughts of, oh, I wonder what's happening, or signs and synchronicities that remind you of this person. It's almost like you're missing these things. You're missing kind of the bigger picture here for other aspects of your journey, maybe neglecting the spiritual journey because of, you know, kind of this new and sort of beautiful blossoming love that's happening, the sense of nurturing. You're wanting to feed into something that, you know, you're experiencing a lot of positive experiences with, and that's very admirable, but it's almost just you're missing more of the subtleties, or you know, kind of neglecting parts of yourself through just kind of over giving to this. It's like a helicopter parent with this mother right here. Some of you, this may be a mother figure, a grandmother figure in terms of ancestry. You know, this can tie into some kind of a mother wound almost, where you know, maybe you needed to sort of step in and raise siblings. You had to be kind of you know, mother yourself even, or you're just like a very giving person, like that energy of the empath here. And so you stepped into this role of almost the shadow empath, where it's giving to the point of depletion. It becomes karmic then. It is not high vibrational, but it becomes like a dissonance. It becomes a distortion because there are no boundaries upon that. It's just kind of given in excess and with free access. And it's not how you are meant to kind of evolve and grow and sort of step into a place of mastery of this element within. It's not conducive to sort of a path of personal empowerment and growth that you may have taken steps on up to the point where this person emerged. You know, again, this idea of like a karmic relationship, some of you, this may resonate as that this is almost kind of, it triggers things within both people. It feels like both of you very mutually are really encouraged to sort of switch the role that you've been playing in this situation. If you've been the one feeding all the attention, making all the effort, you know, this other person needs to kind of step up to the plate and kind of balance the scales in that capacity. And because that's not happening in the maximum capacity that it should, or that it could, or that's available in the situation, that feels to be why there's a segment of your ancestors that are not looking upon this connection favorably, at least at this point in time. They're seeing it as kind of like a hindrance. It's baggage. It's a looping from some sort of karmic cycle that you're either being tasked to address and break free from, or that you had already made substantial progress to kind of like heal and evolve beyond that, step into a place of sovereignty. And it's almost like they're saying you're backsliding a bit. You're falling into old habits and patterns without even understanding it. This may be something where, you know, it's sort of the same situation working counterintuitively, if you'd been in like a runner-chaser dynamic before, let's say you'd been the chaser and you gave up the pursuit of the person that ran, you disconnected from that, you healed that aspect of you, and then a new connection comes in, and all of a sudden you're back into that chaser mode, even if it's somebody you're still dealing with currently in real time and they're not running. It's almost just that concept of overfeeding the energy, the attention, the concern, just kind of the hopes and dreams, and it's almost like you're manifesting the future all on your own in the situation without sort of allowing space for it to breathe, space for it to develop, space, acceptance of the unknown. It's like too much of a need to know in the situation, to where that feels to be kind of a big element of what this segment of your ancestors that are not necessarily liking the structure and the dynamic of the situation at this point in time. This is their biggest qualm or concern with this. It's not that this person is not good for you. It's just you're responding to this situation from an aspect of you that is less empowered than you could be or that you should be for your highest good to unfold. That to continue forth in the situation in the way you've been approaching it, it doesn't lead to, ultimately it feels like it doesn't lead to a feeling of fulfillment and satisfaction for both people long term. It's something which will fall apart because there's only been one that's really been hoisting the connection up, and the other has just sort of been purely on that receiving mode. And so it's something where it's almost a wobbly foundation is being built, and so there's a cautious energy there. Those protective ancestors are, saying we'll be here to pick up the pieces if this falls down, but we really don't want to have to do that kind of cleanup work again in your emotional life. It's you have this opportunity to kind of shift your approach to this situation to create better results or different results. So let's see what else your ancestors want you to know about this connection, this person. What are their thoughts about it? And also with this karmic relationship, this can really tie into a message for some of you where this circumstance, becoming enlightened about how, maybe it's even just thought energy is still a form of giving away energy, even if you're respecting personal boundaries, even if it's, you're not kind of totally enmeshing your life with this person. It's still energetically, there's an interwoven energy here to where it's possible this circumstance may just serve as that karmic lesson, that kind of last go around of some sort of karmic loop. And that if you choose to sort of break free or disconnect from the situation altogether, you recognize this pattern within, you give the person the opportunity to sort of course correct, and they don't. It's something which this can also tie into that group of ancestors who approve of the situation that they see. This might just be kind of the straw that broke the camel's back, where when you sort of get this wider vantage point of sort of what's at play here, what's going on, this frees you and liberates you to transform how you're showing up for yourself, how you're showing up for love. And this may be something that then aligns you with that partner further down the road that is more of that balanced match for you, because you've been tasked with sort of overcoming this wound within yourself, and that this situation serves that purpose in a way. But we also have Bear, Book, and Ring. So this idea with the ring here, this is tying into, loops and cycles and some kind of a pattern that you have fallen back into. But, with the energy of sort of these gems, these jewels in a wedding ring, it's almost, again, this slight sort of change or alteration that this circumstance with this person, this could turn into something, if you just sort of switch up your approach, you pull a little bit back, you sort of go into the hibernation mode, giving a little more space between your interactions with one another, giving a little more space energetically speaking. Allow this person to come to you rather than you're just the one feeding everything into the situation. That this can actually be what helps to sort of rewrite the script and the narrative between the two of you and leads to that lasting partnership with one another that you're looking for. But as it exists right now, if the dynamic doesn't change, it feels to be something that's just going to, kind of be stuck in a loop. It's going to be reflective of maybe other disappointments that you have experienced in love, or it just won't reach that maximum potential. This bear energy also speaks to mothering. So again, some kind of a mother wound, some sort of like an overgiving, hoisting all the weight of this connection that your ancestors are wanting you to, almost with the book, look back in your personal history, look back at sort of the deeper themes or archetypes of your behavior, your conduct in this situation, and see how is this reflective maybe of other circumstances where personal power was given away to one's own detriment. And that this can be something that even just looking at things from that perspective, that clouds and shape-shifting, that expansion of the mind or reconfiguring of how you're looking at this, that can be the key to either, if you choose to sort of disconnect from this and go within to do some more healing work, create that sense of unity, balance within before you are, in the market to sort of seek partnership with others outside of yourself, or if it's something where that shift in perspective kind of brings everything full circle and you're able to say, okay, I just need to keep a little bit in reserve for myself. It's not like it needs to even involve a big conversation. It's just a shift in the energy for a lot of you. It's a sense of resisting that urge to watch the 10th pick a card of the day about a person. Maybe you just watched 9 today, and at that 10th hour, you're journaling, or you're going out for a walk in nature, you're watching a TV show, or reading a book, or just something else. You're investing that within yourself. It's a slight pullback. It's just a slight redirection of energies, and it feels like when that's accomplished, when you take more of a proactive role in this circumstance to make sure that you're feeding and fulfilling and nurturing your own needs rather than just overgiving, that segment of your ancestry who is sort of, they're not really sure if they're totally on board with this, they're gonna soften that stance. They're gonna start to consider it from a different perspective because you're making the necessary shifts and evolutions. You're still honoring yourself rather than kind of investing all of your energy and hopes and even inadvertently kind of placing happiness and fulfillment in the hands of another person. And you need to kind of take that back, take control of that in some manner, even if it's just slightly. It's a slight shift, a slight kind of redirection of attention onto something else, or onto yourself. And then it feels like more of your ancestors will be on board with, okay, there's been growth and evolution which has happened here. So then it enters into the realm of, it can continue to sort of transform and develop into, more of that possibility and potential, more of that beautiful energy that is available on the other side of kind of a reversal in the roles of how things have been working in this connection up to this point in time. So I'm going to get a little closing guidance, and then I'll get some initials. Okay, we have Moon Dance. Listen to the rhythm and sway along with the heartbeat of the universe. So that moon energy is really encouraging you to kind of pull back, leave a little mystery in this situation. Allow this person to take the lead in this dance between the two of you. If you've been just naturally very excited at connecting with somebody, building a connection, resonating, or even if it's someone you're in no contact with and you're missing them and you're longing for them and you're sending them love from afar, stepping into this place of receptivity, that kind of yin energy. This allows you to maybe hear what this person has been wanting to say to you energetically, or to make those kind of bold and assertive moves towards you that you almost, how you've been sort of addressing the situation up to this point in time, it's almost kind of been keeping that at a distance. You've been doing that heavy lifting for them. They need this opportunity to really rise to the occasion to meet you. And it represents as well, with this idea of the moon, some kind of larger cycle. It's more than just the energy of this person and this connection. And especially with those ancestors that are not liking the situation. It's not that they don't like the person. They don't like the face of you that has come out, or how you are presenting your energy in this situation, that it's almost you're forgetting yourself in this equation of infusing so much love into this circumstance, that you need love as well. And so it's well-meaning protectiveness to just sort of pull back, the kind of the idea of waning away from this person a bit. Allow them to kind of be in the pursuit, allow them to step into that chaser role, in kind of this pivoting back and forth, this dance of getting to know one another and building intimacy on different levels very mutually. And it is on that path that you'll reach a state of true balance, rather than just kind of lopsided energies. And that really opens the door to more of a well-rounded idea of what's possible, how far this connection can go in the future, or if it's somebody that you are in a no-contact situation with, you're really, it's not just setting the intention of I'm going to give them space. When you redirect your attention somewhere else, they feel that loss of the energy, and it really then provides you the illumination of how far they're willing to go to do the work necessary to rise to the occasion, to be a participant in your life in a different vibration than what had been the case in sort of the lopsided dynamic before. And so your ancestors are really encouraging you to do that. Pull back within yourself, give this situation some breathing room, and then you can kind of look at it from a fresh perspective, or it allows a different part of this person that you haven't experienced yet to come to the surface, so you're able to make a more well-educated decision about the viability of this circumstance in the long term for you. So I'm going to get some initials. This can be a first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or even one of your ancestors, or it could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Okay, we've got G, L, B, U, C, A, Q, B, M, A, W, P, F, K, S, L, P, and R. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and there's a link in the description box of the video for that. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I also sell handmade jewelry, dream catchers, and sun catchers if you're interested in checking any of those out as well. And I've launched a second channel here on YouTube, which is called Lady of the Dawn Tarot. There's a link in the description box as well as in the channel section of my page for that. The format over there consists of readings related to topics other than love and romance. So if you're looking for something a little different from me, that is the place to find it. I thank you for your support there, as well as for your continued support here on this channel. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, Group 3. Chose the Sodalite star along with this card, which says love. So to channel some quick introductory energies off of this card, as far as that question, what do your ancestors think of this person? Think of this connection. This is a very sweet energy. This is growth potential here. They really approve of this connection, and it's almost the energy of they have in some way had a divine hand in orchestrating the two of you meeting, that this is a connection that's long overdue. So this definitely could be a past life connection. somebody where it feels like both of your ancestral teams are really rooting for this situation, are really hoping that the two of you will continue to sort of press beyond the boundaries of fear, and continue to invest your time and your loving energies into one another, into kind of the growth and prosperity. This is giving me the sort of the vibes of Ten of Pentacles here, that this has the makings of something that can be very fulfilling for the two of you in a long-term sense, but it's also bringing to mind the idea of, you know, with the sweetness comes the sour, sort of like the rose. Every rose has its thorn, you know, and it's something where there could be periods of challenge, or you're in sort of a challenge. It could be obstacles in this situation currently, things where maybe you're at a point of the connection being so sort of strained, or you're uncertain what the future is, and it feels like a lot of ancestral energy that is really rooting for you to find a way beyond these obstacles, to not lose sight of kind of this potent connection between the two of you, soul bond, soul connection, this very kind of fragrant, sweet, almost life force energy that is generated when things are good between the two of you, when you're really in alignment and on point with one another. That if you're willing to kind of go slowly, go gently in this circumstance and situation, it has the potential to be something which brings a lot of positive energy into your life moving forward, and kind of with the energy of sort of challenges, maybe things that have been triggered recently, some hurt feelings. It's an energy of your ancestors kind of hoping that you will find a way to heal this, to at least make an effort, that instead of just throwing in the towel and kind of giving up at the first sign of challenge, or even at kind of the visual sort of perspective of there's a lot that stands in the way of the full potential of this blooming and blossoming, to almost take a higher approach. It's bringing to mind almost the idea of like bees and kind of a hive mind, and a meeting of the minds that may be necessary. So this could be almost the sense of frustration, or a bit of trepidation, or a daunting energy that you and this person are mutually experiencing, that there's this longing and desire, but you're also looking at the very sort of obvious kind of risks involved, or maybe like fear of rejection, or just whatever those obstacles or challenges look like. And it's an energy of your ancestors encouraging you to kind of open those lines of communication, to really start to discuss matters of the heart, and that you may be very surprised that your fears mirror their fears. And it is from this collective energy, the two of you, the meeting of the minds, that you're able to sort of find a way beyond these circumstances, or to at least be able to have a deeper awareness and sensitivity for where one another is at, which it feels like will help to sort of in the long-term growth, help to sustain that as you're needing to kind of bear down and endure, or maybe kind of wait for a period of time until conditions are better, that your ancestors are encouraging you to try to find a way beyond these difficulties, because there's a lot of potential here for deep gratification, deep love, a deep blossoming of love, something that's almost long overdue in terms of those past life energies. This may be something where you and this person were thwarted, maybe at various times in this lifetime. This could have been, you know, failure to launch, or just missed opportunities. And it's, you know, the ancestors are really pushing for breakthrough in this circumstance, for you know, another go around in this circumstance and situation, or even if that's past life energies, you know, times where it had been thwarted, and this is the lifetime where the result can be different. It's also tying into the idea of past life connections, and to kind of tap into that sense of soul familiarity, and knowing that no matter what the challenges look like in this lifetime, you've overcome more before. And so it's worth fighting. It's worth the patience that's necessary, and also encouragement from your ancestors to allow this circumstance to develop very organically. There's no need to rush. You have all the time in the world in this circumstance. The best things come to those who wait. And so, you know, it's almost the love that you've been seeking. You've attracted this person in through some kind of up leveling, through some growth within you. You might be triggered by a bit of doubt, almost like, is this too good to be true? Am I ready for love? Is this kind of who I've been looking for? And with that kind of comes this advice from your ancestors that, yes, this is the person that you've been looking for. This is the makings of the type of relationship you've been looking for. And really an encouragement to sort of step away from any self-doubt and lack at this point in time, because you're almost the obstacle to your own experience or receptivity. It feels like of a lot of loving energies that this person is wanting to give to you, but you might be the block in this circumstance within yourself, kind of that doubt or fear, fear of being let down, fear of being disappointed, fear of, things not turning out as they appear, as you feel that they might or should. And so kind of this encouragement to sort of lean into more of that positive polarity of thinking, rather than looking at obstacles, focus on the best possible outcomes, and that will be kind of the energy that gets all of this moving in the proper direction, in the time and manner that it's meant to. So I'm just going to be using oracle cards for this reading. So I'm going to dive in a little bit deeper and see what else do your ancestors want you to know about this connection. What else do they think about this person? Okay, we've got rain, purification, ancestors, generations, and lotus flower unfoldment. So more of that flowery energy, the blossoming here. And it's, this lotus flower is talking about kind of like the difficulties and pushing and persevering. And on the other side of that, something very beautiful can manifest out of this situation. This person brings with them a very healing, genuine, and emotional energy. This situation, even if it's kind of stormy at this particular point in time, even if you're very scared of kind of what the outcome is, maybe you're just scared to open up your heart to love. And love is knocking at the door, and there's a hesitation to let that in fully, that your ancestors are bringing forth this very healing energy that is encouraging you to, just release that fear, to let that wash away from you, because this person essentially comes in peace. They come with a very loving vibration, and that this experience has all the makings. It is the recipe of something that can be very healing for the two of you. Can really help to break you free from some trends and tendencies and patterns in love in your life up to this point in time. Also, with this idea of ancestors and generations, can be a past life connection, a past life soulmate, for example. You're getting another go around to sort of enjoy that love that you have savored in other lifetimes, or to get it right this time around. And so kind of these ancestral forces, even versions of you from previous lifetimes, really pushing for the forward momentum in this situation. And interestingly, on this card, we've got the four hands, so it's almost kind of like the matrilineal and patrilineal lines of both you and this person are giving the high five to this circumstance. Everybody's on board with this. It feels like it's almost a divinely orchestrated connection for a lot of you, where it's no accident you and this person have crossed paths with one another. It's almost like the ancestral teams and forces sort of colluded ahead of time to help to work behind the scenes, to set up just that proper occasion in both of your lives where you would meet. Maybe you've met at a time of difficulty, and it's almost you're that healing balm or elixir that one another needs. And it's something where, this can be that challenge of personal growth and kind of the transcendence of barriers and limitations, to kind of step out of this energy of almost feeling that you're a work in progress, or that you need to heal, or you're not ready for love yet. You still have work to do within yourself. And it's almost this person's emergence in your life, their presence, is that indicator that you're ready. You've done the work, and the next stage of your healing journey is to open up to receive, to open up to give those healthy and reciprocal loving vibrations, to open up to the reality that you've changed and shifted your vibration so much that you are therefore calling in new circumstances for yourself. For a lot of you, this does feel to be a newer connection. If this is somebody that you're in no contact situation with, then it may be a lot that's happening kind of behind the scenes, everybody's ancestral teams working with one another. And if it is a no contact contact, it feels like this person has emerged recently, but you're a little bit hesitant, sort of like, have they changed? It sounds good, it looks good from the outside, but I don't know if I can trust that. There can be a little bit of fear going on there. So it's almost, they're presenting as like a new person. But it's almost an energy of you're kind of hesitant to fully believe that, but it feels for the most part, for those of you that chose this group, that this is the energy, or this is the dynamic of sort of like a newer connection that's developing, but something where, you know, you're a bit hesitant to kind of go all in this circumstance. You know, you've set some healthy boundaries within. You picked up the pieces of other heartbreaks. You know, you've really kind of raised that vibration, and now the universe has sent you that sort of comparable partner, that reflection of this new resonance, this new vibration you hold within, and yet there's these doubts sort of creeping in, like, is this the real deal? Is this what I've been looking for? Is this the one I've been waiting for, or kind of that soulmate that I've been calling into my life and my reality? You know, and with that energy of love and kind of these blossomings, you know, and the purification and all the loving and watery energy here, you know, these are your ancestors confirming that, yes, the two of you have now crossed paths with one another at this particular point in your personal journeys, to step out of an energy of, almost with the serpent here, of ancestors and generations, shedding a version of yourself, and you're now occupying this new version of you. And so here is your match. Here is your mirror. Here is that kind of true counterpart energy that presents itself, but it's almost like once bitten, twice shy, where, you know, maybe you've been through a very arduous process of picking up the pieces, and you're not so willing to just kind of open your heart to love again, or to jump in. You've really learned from your experiences. But with this is kind of, it's almost like you're leaning on to sort of like the training wheels of healing, almost kind of a little bit of a distorted process of the perpetual healing cycle, perpetually feeling that you're a work in progress, rather than coming to that place of sort of releasing that perception of brokenness, or need to kind of improve or build or strengthen, that it's almost like you've done so much work up to this point in time that now there's a stage of growth that is available for you, that's been prepared for you, that is presented itself to you, which is, you know, growth and lessons, not through difficulties and needing to kind of do all that work within, you know, individually, but it's almost growth and lessons in a very positive capacity, sort of balancing out all the pain, with a chapter of sweetness for you, or with that person that is kind of that prize, you know, that pot of gold at the end of the rainbow you've been searching for. So let's see what else your ancestors want you to know about this connection and about this person. Okay, so we have vows, Asia, and ships. So this idea of ships is almost talking about different points in time where maybe this has been like a failure to launch previously in this lifetime, or past life circumstances where you were like two ships in the night. And so at this particular juncture that you find yourself at, everybody's ancestral teams have worked diligently and behind the scenes in very precise ways in order to create this convergence, create this alignment. This is almost the ship coming in that you've been waiting for. This is that Three of Wands imagery with sort of the man standing on the hill, kind of waiting for his ship to arrive. And here it is in the form of this person, this connection. This has the ability to kind of take you into new territory, emotionally speaking. And so with that, your ancestors are very encouraging of you to sort of invest more into the sense of adventure. Open yourself up to a new experience in love and partnership than what you've had in the past. If you've had a lot of disappointments, a lot of letdowns, you know, maybe a period of time where you almost took this vow of celibacy, you know, you vowed to be single and work on yourself, and it's, you know, understandably so. you're a bit hesitant to just kind of let people into your energy again, to sort of get back out there, to partner up with another person again. For example, you've been out of the dating scene for a while, you've been working on yourself, you know, made a commitment to yourself to sort of prioritize you and your health and your well-being on an emotional level and in other ways, that it's almost, you've reached kind of the end of a road with a certain element of that dynamic, or that sort of aspect of how you've needed to be in your own personal healing journey. And now this person arrives as sort of the conduit to the next phase of your adventure in this lifetime. That whatever this cycle was that you were last in, this chapter, it wasn't meant to be something permanent, but it was a necessary stop-off point to almost create that preparation, that sense of inner peace or zen within yourself, in order to be able to magnetize in a different kind of partner, a different kind of relationship. So essentially you've succeeded in creating that garden of Eden within yourself, and there is now an opportunity for you to have kind of a return to innocence, not even a do-over in terms of love and partnership, but a new, fresh kind of experience, something that is very unsullied in terms of the themes you had been dealing with, the archetypes you had been dealing with in terms of partners and love, or the lack of love previously. So your ancestors are really encouraging you to sort of quiet the fears, quiet the mind, and, you know, sort of look beyond the surface of this situation. And rather than sort of looking at the obstacles, see the opportunities in this situation. You know, really step into that place of knowing that the work you've invested on yourself up to this point in time, it's not been for nothing. And that now that this kind of love, this very, you know, intense or electric, or, you know, just something that has really moved or stirred you, these energies that have really affected you, they're here for a reason. That this is not meant to sort of mock you or test you, but it's an invitation to step into something more. Just sort of reevaluate the vow that you've made to yourself, the promise, maybe a timeline or a deadline that you set of, you know, I'm not going to put myself out there again until, you know, X number of months or years pass from the last sort of heartbreak, or whatever that looks like, and this person has shown up sooner than expected, or you had a very sort of strict understanding of what kind of the next time you fall in love, what that would look like, and this person has come in and sort of defies a lot of those expectations, which may be triggering that sense of insecurity or fear. Again, your ancestors really encouraging you to sort of move into a place of trust and inner knowing, check in with that intuition, feel beyond sort of the chatter of the fears, the chatter of the ego, and in that sanctuary within, you will find the answer. You will feel the resonance, and it feels like for a lot of you the very genuine energy that this person is presenting to you, what they want to bring into your life, very pure intentions here. So let's see, what else do your ancestors want you to know about this person and this connection? Okay, so we've got fish, clouds, and tower. So this tower it's reminding me of the tower card, and that a lot of you may be anticipating kind of these disastrous tower moments. What if I get it wrong? What if I open my heart to this person and it all falls apart? This is encouraging you with the idea of clouds and sort of shifting that mind, shifting the imagination, shifting your perspective about what if everything sort of falls apart in the most wonderful way. What if your expectations or your pessimism topples down and you are pleasantly surprised at how things work out? These are changes for the better, changes that shift the trajectory of your life in a very positive way. That is what your ancestors are wanting you to kind of wrap your mind around, or to start to lean into. You know, and kind of the energy with the fish here of wisdom and sort of a phase of your journey up to this point in time that has led you to this place you find yourself. You have magnetized this person in. The two of you have magnetized one another in because of your willingness to kind of like go within, do that emotional healing, do that emotional work, crystallize pain into wisdom. And it is from that energy and that frequency of wisdom that you have now magnetized in a different type of person for yourself. So your idea of what that would look like, when that would occur, you know, kind of the clock tower here, even in this card of sort of, oh, they showed up a little earlier, or they look different than what I had expected, or I met them in a different way than what I had told myself would be kind of the next time I fall in love. It's going to be in these precise sort of coordinates or locations. You know, maybe it's something about this person that is just sort of, it's out of the ordinary of what you'd been looking for, what you'd been expecting. Nevertheless, your ancestors are encouraging you to kind of move into the energy with the fish here of kind of the Page of Cups and the fish leaping out of the cup. You know, this wondrous surprise, something you weren't expecting, but it comes with the energy of love. It's right on time. And also that element of time can you know, confirm this idea of like a past life soul connection. Maybe you are feeling very kind of triggered or uncertain because you feel so drawn to this person, and yet maybe you've gone down that road before with someone. You know, you had thought, okay, this is a soul connection. This is my twin flame. This is my soulmate, this is my person, and then it ended up in this period where you were needing to kind of go within and do some massive healing, growth, and kind of putting your pieces back together work. And so understandably so, you're a bit hesitant to kind of bite on the idea of this being the one in that same or even a more intense kind of way in terms of all those little signs and synchronicity. So this can be kind of an opportunity for you to sort of step beyond you know, an idea that you'd had, almost like you've outgrown some kind of fishbowl in terms of your idea of partnerships, soulmates, twin flames, the one, and it's almost there's something more suited to who you've become that is available to you. It's just requires your willingness to kind of put aside the doubt and take that leap of faith. And your ancestors are really giving you the go-ahead in this capacity. It's something even with the school of fish here in this card that ties into the idea of learning and lessons, but in a very positive way, a shift with the idea of clouds here from how lessons have been experienced for you in terms of love up to this point in time. Instead of difficulties, you're learning kind of, you've learned what love is not, you're learning what love is now through this circumstance with this person. So definitely strong indicators that both you and this person's ancestral teams are really encouraging this connection to play out, for you to continue to invest in it. It's almost like with the clock tower, the stars have aligned. It has taken a very long time, perhaps lifetimes, to align you and this individual in these circumstances. So a lot of push and momentum from those ancestral energies to continue to explore and to dive into this, to continue to invest in this, and to clear the path of fear out of yourself, so that love can flow more freely between you and this person. So I'm going to get some closing guidance from your ancestors, and then I'll get some initials. Okay, we have torpor. Rest your weary wings and replenish your energy for the flight ahead. So this is beautiful energy. This is speaking about the end of a cycle. When you decide to open that door of love within your heart space to this person, releasing doubt, releasing fear, releasing hesitation, it's like the good winds are filling your sails and blowing this connection into uncharted waters, into a new adventure and a new experience. Things that will really pick up in the trajectory, new horizons that are possible for you in a very substantial way. And that's not to say there won't be challenges in this situation with this person. Every connection, even people that are so deeply aligned, have their ups and downs. We're all human. We have our good days and our bad days. It's not always smooth sailing, even with the people that we are closest to. So, it's just this energy here, this advice of kind of releasing that weariness of the heart where you are expecting the worst, and instead shift that perspective to expecting the best and trusting in kind of the greater forces that are at play here, in these strong ancestral energies that are really in support of this connection, which, without giving away too much from the other two groups, this is the group where strongly it's like a resounding yes from both individuals' ancestral lines. Everybody's kind of liking this. Everybody's pooled their energetic resources together to kind of make this happen, to kind of bring the two of you to this point of intersection with one another. And so it's really this energy of sort of trusting that, you know, even if there are stormy periods, even if there are obstacles or challenges, or it seems like kind of an impossible circumstance, that you're really being asked to sort of have faith, to release that kind of negative polarity and step into a place of excitement about things kind of falling apart in the best possible way. You know, your doubt being almost obliterated and replaced with wonder at how things turn out on the other side of your decision to really trust and to really follow your heart, and to bypass those currents of fear that may be causing you to sort of hold back or be a little bit hesitant. Because on the other side of that willingness to plug into this current, this connection you're feeling with this person fully and kind of fearlessly, then there are beautiful new possibilities and things really picking up and evolving at a very rapid pace. It's almost like when these seeds of love really have the chance to bloom and thrive, or when you open your heart to receive the love that this person is trying to give to you, you know, it not only is very kind of sweet in what's received, but it flourishes. There's a lot of bounty and a lot of harvest in the energies of a connection that has the makings to be very sustainable long into the future. So I'm going to get some initials, and this can be a first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or even can spell out the initials of some of your ancestors, just whatever resonates for you. Okay, we've got R, A, M, W, H, N, T, O, E, P, L, F, G, J, D, F, Y, and M. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and there's a link in the description box of the video for that. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I also sell handmade jewelry, dream catchers, and sun catchers if you're interested in checking any of those out as well. And I've launched a second channel here on YouTube, which is called Lady of the Dawn Tarot. There's a link in the description box as well as in the channel section of my page for that. The format over there consists of readings related to topics other than love and romance. So if you're looking for something a little different from me, that is the place to find it. I thank you for your support there, as well as for your continued support here on this channel. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well.